Hello out there, welcome to this tutorial on simultaneous equations. In this video, we'll be looking at graphical method. So we have our first problem. Problem 1. Solve the pairs of equations 3x plus 4y equals 10 and 3x minus 2y equals 4 graphically. So we are going to draw the graphs of this straight line and the other straight line. Then the point of intersection, the coordinates will give the solution to the simultaneous equations. So we start the solution by creating the table of values for the two equations. So we have the first equation to be 3x plus 4y equals 10. So for any straight line, we need at least 2 points to draw the straight line. So there's a situation where we use the intercept form. Here we are trying to avoid fraction, so we cannot make use of the intercept form. The intercept form is to make x equal to 0. So if x is 0, we are going to have fraction here. And also if we make y equals 0, we are going to have x to be a fraction. So to avoid fraction, we go for any other 2 points. From here, this is 10 and this is 4y. If I make x to be equal to 2, I'm going to have 6 here. And on coming to this side to be 10 minus 6, which will give us 4. From there, it is divisible by 4, which is the coefficient of y. Therefore, we make x equal to 2, and we said this is 6. Coming to this side, it becomes 10 minus 6. 10 minus 6 is 4. 4y will be equal to 4, where y will be equal to 1. We have gotten the first point. Then for the second point, but we are trying to maintain small values. We don't want to take a very large value that will make our range of values of x to be so large that it will not be able to contain our graph. So we pick x is negative 2. If you pick x is negative 2, we are going to have negative 6 here, and it's bringing it to the right hand side becomes positive. So that we now have 4y is equal to 16, and 16 is divisible by 4. So we make x equal to negative 2, and our y is going to be 4. Remember, put x is negative 2 here, you have negative 6. Coming to this side, it becomes 10 plus 6, which is 16. And 16 divided by 4 gives this 4. So we've gotten the 2 points to draw this line. So we go for the second equation, which is 3x minus 2y is equal to 4. So we still come up with our table. And in this case, we can make x equals 0. If you make x equals 0, this 3x is gone. We'll be left with negative 2y is equal to 4. Dividing both sides by negative 2, we have y to be equal to negative 2. Now we cannot make y equals 0. We are going to have fraction. And I will find it difficult to get the fraction on the graph. So let's go for something easier. But if you can bear the pain of getting the fraction from your graph, please don't hesitate to go by the intercept form. Now we want to make x to be equal to 2 again. This is going to give us 6. 6 going to the other side, it becomes 4 minus 6, which is negative 2. So we now have negative 2y is equal to negative 2. And at that point, y will be equal to 1. We can then go ahead to plot these points to get our straight line here. We also plot the 2 points here to get our straight line. So we have our graph here. So this is our graph. We have our x-axis and our y-axis. You have to be very careful where to place x-axis and y-axis. We have treated graphs of linear equations. So you check our YouTube channel to get them. And this is the origin. To the right, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. And to the left of x-axis, we have -1, -2. And to the upper part of y, we have a +1, 2, 3, 4. And to the negative side, we have -1, -2. Then we start with the first point here, which is 2, 1, meaning when x is 2, y is 1. So the line x is equal to 2 is this. This is the line x is equal to 2. So the line y is equal to 1 is this. You see they meet here. So we mark the point out. Then we are done with that point. We go to the second point. That is -2 and 4. The line x is -2 is this. And the point is here since y is 4 here. So they meet here. We mark the point also. We then place our ruler from touching the first and the second point. Then we draw our line. So we have the line 3x plus 4y is equal to 10. This is the line. So we go to the second equation, which is also a straight line. The first point is 0 and -2. X is equal to 0 is y-axis. This is x is equal to 0. Y is -2 is this point. So I mark the point out. Then we'll go to the next point. That's 2 and 1. When x is 2, y is 1 is a repeated point as we have it here. So this is the point here. So we just place our ruler again and join the 2 points. Make sure you extend it as long as possible. So we are done drawing the second line, which is 3x minus 2y is equal to 4. So the solution here now is the point of intersection of the two lines. We get their coordinates, which means that point, the value of x and the value of y. So that the solution is 2. This is 2. The point is 2 to the x-axis and 1 to the y-axis. So that's the end of solution to problem 1. We then go to problem 2. For problem 2, on the same axis, draw the graphs of y equal to x squared plus 3x minus 4 and y equals x minus 1. Take the range of values of x from -5 to 2. From your graphs, find the roots of 1 x squared plus 3x minus 4 equals 0. 2 x squared plus 2x minus 3 equals 0. B, we have to find the solution of y equal to x squared plus 3x minus 4 and y equals x minus 1. We have two equations here. This one is a curve, a quadratic curve, while this is a straight line. So this is a situation of simultaneous equations. One linear, this is linear, and the second one is non-linear. So we've treated the analytical solution in our previous videos. Check the description section of this video on our YouTube channel to get the previous videos on simultaneous equations. So we start with the solution. So we are going to create a table of values for the two equations, the curve and the straight line. So we start with the curve. We are going to have an expanded table for the table of values. I love using this method, but you can use your calculator to be faster, but for the purpose of this video, I want us to see how it can be done manually. So the first row is x, and our range of values of x are given there as -5, -1, up till +2. Then we bring in the terms of the equation so that we now have our x squared, 3x, and -4. Then we now have our y. For each of these cells, we are going to bring in the values of x squared here and here, 3x, where our x is -5 for this column, and here it is -4, and so on. So we have x squared, -5 squared gives 25, -4 squared gives 16, -3 squared gives 9, -2 squared gives 4, -1 squared gives 1, 0 squared 0, 1 squared 1, and 2 squared 4. So we come down to this row, that's the row for 3x. So for every value of x, we calculate 3 times -5 gives -15, 3 times -4 gives -12, 3 times -3 gives -9, 3 times -2 gives -6, 3 times -1 gives -3, 3 times 0 gives 0, 3 times 1 gives 3, and 3 times 2 gives 6. And for this constant term, we are going to repeat all of them for each of the cells. Okay, so we are done. Then we now add up the calculated values. That's 25 plus -15 minus 4. That will give us 6. 16 minus 12, then minus 4 gives 0. 9 minus 9, then minus 4 gives -4. 4 minus 6 minus 4 gives -6. 1 minus 3 minus 4 gives -6. 0 plus 0 minus 4 gives -4. 1 plus 3 minus 4 gives 0. And finally, 4 plus 6 minus 4 gives 6. So we're going to use the first row and the last row to draw our graph. That is the row for the values of x and the corresponding row for the value of y. So that's that for the table of values for the curve. Then we go for the straight line. We still need 2 points as we did in the first one. When x is 0, see this is gone, so y is -1. Now also when x, or we say when y is 0 here, when y is 0, we have 0 is equal to x minus 1. We now bring -1 to this side, it becomes x equal to 1. So we have our value of x to be equal to 1. So these are the two tables we are going to use to get our graphs ready for other questions. So we go for our graph. So we have our graph here. Remember, we have the first table, that is for the curve. So from here, based on the values of x and y, we study the graph and get our x-axis, then our y-axis. If you look at it now, I have more of the negative values of x, so I left more grids with the negative x-axis, and less here. The same thing here, we have almost equal, -6 and +6. So we are going to have the origin. This is 1 and 2. Here is -1, -2, -3, -4, -5. Then to the upper part, that is positive y-axis. This is 2, 4, and 6. This is -2, -4, -6. I start with the first point. When x is -5, y is 6. When x is -5, y is positive, we go up. This is the point. It is marked out. When x is -4, y is 0. This is the point here. When x is -3, y is -4. We go down until we get to the line y is -4, which is this point. It is marked out. When x is -2, we're going down to y -6. Y is -6 is here. And when x is -1, y is -6 is also here again. When x is 0, that's y-axis. Y is -4 there, so we have the point here. And when x is 1, y is 0, this is the point. And finally, when x is 2, y is 6. When x is 2, you go up to the line y is 6. This is the point here. Then we join the points to get our curve. That is it. So that is the curve y equal to x squared plus 3x minus 4. Then we go for the second table of values for the linear graph. So when x is 0, y is -1. When x is 0 is y-axis, -1. Okay, this is 2 centimeter to represent 2 units. So halfway between them. So this is the point here. It is marked out. And again, when x is 1, y is 0. Y is 0 is x-axis. So this is the point here also. We then place our ruler and join the 2 points, extend the line so that it covers the curve at both ends. So that is that. And this is y is equal to x minus 1. So we then go ahead to solve the problems that follow. So from the graphs, find the roots of x squared plus 3x minus 4 equals 0, and 2x squared plus 2x minus 3 equals 0. So we start with A1. With this is the curve. When they now write equals 0, we are looking at where the curve cuts the x-axis, the value of x at those points. So we have the first point here, and this is the second point where the curve cuts the x-axis, which represent y equal to 0. So the values there now are x is equal to 1 and x is equal to -4. And that is that. So we go to A2. For A2, we have x squared plus 2x minus 3 equals 0. This is an equation formed from equating the equation of the curve and the equation of the line. Because if you equate x squared plus 3x minus 4 to x minus 1, simplify, you are going to have x squared plus 2x minus 3 equals 0. So the roots of this particular equation formed from the two equations are the point where the curve and the line meet. So you can see that this is the point, this is the point. So we're interested in only the values of x at each of the points. So we have x is equal to 1 here and x is -3. So that's all for A. Then for B, we have the solution or solutions of y equal to x squared plus 3x minus 4 and y equal to x minus 1. So in this case, we are still going to pay attention to where the line and the curve meet. So here is the first point and this is the second point. At that point, we are looking for both x and y values. So we are looking at the coordinates of the point. so that we now have it the first point as 1 comma 0, or the second point is negative 3 comma 4. You see, this is negative 3x comma y. So that's all for the solution of problem 2. This is the highest we can take in this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching. See you in our next video. Until we come your way again, goodbye.